In the history of the Second World War, the Jewish people were often the victim, and they're often seen as hapless victims of Nazi extermination, but not in every case, because in some cases Jews fought back in the Allied armies, as the Jewish Brigade, as partisans, and in this video you will learn about the Jewish parachutists in the Second World War. It's a very extraordinary story, so keep watching. Many people ask themselves, why didn't the Jews fight the Axis powers? Here is what historian Benjamin Ginsberg had to say about it. Jewish resistance to the Nazis should be characterized as a form of cumulative rather than collective action. That is, for the most part, Jewish resistance lacked even a modicum of central coordination or leadership. It consisted of a host of disparate groups, individuals, and organizations on several continents mounting various responses, ranging from partisan warfare through nuclear research to the threat of Nazism. In this video, we're going to discuss the Jewish parachutists, and they were originally based in Palestine, or the Mandate of Palestine, because Palestine was an area of the Ottoman Empire, and after the fall of the Ottoman Empire, after the end of the First World War, the British took control over the area as a League of Nations mandate. The Jewish Agency for Israel, a body dedicated to the establishment of Israel, asked the British government to help in training and dispatching hundreds of parachutists in Europe to fight the Nazis. The word was spread among the Jewish Palestinian troops that served in the British Army and members of the Zionist Youth Organization. In August 1942, several Jewish women arrived in Palestine. They came from Nazi-occupied Europe, and they brought horror stories with them about what happened to the Jews in Nazi-occupied Europe. And the Jewish Agency saw this as a chance, because these people, they were from Europe. They spoke the local language. They knew about the geography and the customs. As mentioned before, Jewish resistance lacked even a modicum of central coordination and leadership, but these people could provide this. The agency set up an ambitious plan to drop 1,000 parachutists over war-torn Europe, who had to help in organizing resistance against the Nazis. It took months to get the idea off the ground, but eventually 250 Jewish men and women, they volunteered. The British were cautious with pledging support because they were kind of afraid that if they would train these Jewish men and women, they eventually after the war would become a threat to British rule in Palestine. The British demanded that they would prioritize setting up radio and telegraph communications, sabotage, and aiding downed Allied pilots. Their mission was to make contact with downed Allied aircrews, to serve as radio operators, and to make contact with partisans in various European countries. The volunteers also hoped to rescue Jews who were then being murdered by the Germans and perhaps help them find a way to reach Palestine. Italian-born Enzo Serini and Hungarian-born Jona Rosen took up the organization. As we saw with other Zionist militant groups like Haganah and Palmach, women were welcome to join, and so Slovak-born Haviva Reich and Hungarian-born Hanna Zenes joined. Initially, there were 250 volunteers, 110 were trained, and 37 were left after the training. The British had plans to drop them into Axis-controlled Yugoslavia. There they could link up with Joseph Broz Tito's partisans. However, the volunteers claimed this was too risky. The partisans controlled only fractions of the territory, and dropping all volunteers in one place was too risky. They then suggested blind jumps, where different teams were dropped in different countries. As Serini stated, "It's the shortest route and thus the right one. Even if it's dangerous, with imagination and daring, we can take the enemy by surprise." In March 1944, the jumps began. The volunteers were parachuted into 6 European countries, 9 to Romania, 3 to Hungary, 5 to Slovakia, 10 to Yugoslavia, 3 to Italy, and 2 to Bulgaria. Most were sent to countries where they had been born and could speak the local language. 5 others infiltrated the countries via overland routes. The first team was led by Hanna Zenes. She was originally from Hungary. They were dropped in Yugoslavia. And Zenes, she wanted to go to Hungary. Her mother and brother were hiding there. And Hungary wasn't yet under German control, despite being an Axis nation. However, later that month, the Germans moved in and took control of Hungary. This had to do with the fact that the Hungarian leaders were war-weary. They also participated on the Eastern Front, and Germany feared Hungarian loyalty might come in danger, and they wanted the Hungarians to continue the war on their side. So that's why they moved in. The parachutists were disillusioned by this, and one of them wrote, "Our hopes of organizing escape and self-defense before the Nazi invasion were dashed. Now we would have to operate under Nazi rule." Nevertheless, the jumps were undertaken, and Zenes and her team were dropped in Axis-controlled Yugoslavia. She reached out to the partisans and spent several months among them. Then she wanted to go to Hungary, to her country. However, since the Nazis had taken control over the country, two of her fellow men, they were afraid. They found it way too risky, so they turned back. But Zenes, she continued her journey and eventually crossed the Hungarian border. However, she was arrested and a grim future awaited her. They found a British military transmitter she could use to contact her comrades, and the guards, they wanted to know the code she used to signal her comrades. She was tied to a chair and beaten for 3 consecutive days. She lost several teeth because of the beatings. Then she was taken to a Budapest prison and the torture continued. Eventually, the guards threatened to kill her mother, who was by now also arrested, but she still refused to give in. Towards the end of October, she was tried. By now, the fascist Hungarian Arrow Cross Party had seized power in the country. On the 7th of November, she was executed by firing squad. Zenes was an accomplished poet, and the circumstances of her death helped give her poetry an international audience. Another female parachutist was Slovak-born Haviva Reich. She had immigrated to Palestine in 1939 and joined the SOA, the Special Operations Executive, a secret British organization to perform espionage and covert operation behind enemy lines. In September 1944, she was sent to Slovakia. At that time, the Slovak uprising was in full swing. She and others helped to rescue Allied downed pilots, as well as helping Jewish children to escape the country to Palestine, providing escape routes. However, in October 1944, she was arrested by Ukrainian Waffen-SS soldiers. She was killed along with 1,000 others in the Kremnička massacre, which was carried out by Hlinka guardsmen and Einsatzgruppe in the aftermath of the crushed Slovak national uprising. 2 of her comrades died in concentration camps, and another managed to escape and joined the Soviet partisans. After the war, Reich's remains were transferred from the mass grave in Slovakia to the new state of Israel. 5 of the parachutists participated in the 1944 Slovak national uprising. 10 parachutists fought alongside Tito's partisans. The Germans, however, captured 12 of the parachutists and executed 7 of them. In Romania, the parachutists moved swiftly and undetected through the Ploiești oil fields to rescue stranded Allied airmen. Others carried out their work of resistance until the Allied soldiers reached them. In 2013, at the age of 95, the last of the volunteers died, Surika Braverman. As she put, "You have to understand, we didn't go to Europe to overthrow the Third Reich. We didn't think they would make of us heroes. We wanted to go to the Jews of Europe and say that we had come to help." And then there were other Jewish volunteers that served in the Jewish Brigade, or as partisans, or in a special interrogation group. But that is all for future episodes. Big shout out to my patrons and a special thanks to Philip Jordan, Jacob Moslund, Nick Terranova, Haley Berry, Mark Little-Hale, Janusz Ojonkiewicz, Joanne, Justin Trabell, Peter King, Tanya Dixie, Henry Clarkson, Rob Park, Andrea Martic, Ilya Yud, Fernando Lopez Ojeda, and Mike West. And a big shout out to Ilya Yud as a $25 donator. He was able to choose his own episode, and he wanted me to make an episode about Jewish resistance during World War II. So Ilya, I hope you find it interesting. Let me know what you thought of the video. You can check the video about the ghetto uprising in Białystok. It's right here. I want to thank you again for watching. Give this video a like. Do not forget to subscribe. I'll see you later.